overnight, Labour's had victories in by-elections, 2 by-elections, and it adds to a long list of by-election wins over the Conservatives. More by-election wins in any single parliament than any other government since the 60s. So Keir Starmer claims they show people want change. Our political correspondent, Louisa James, is in Wellingborough. Louisa, a huge win for Labour in Wellingborough. Enormous pressure on Rishi Sunak this morning. As I say, the Conservatives have now suffered more defeats in this parliament than any previous government since the 60s. So there's going to, we would think there's going to be some heads locked in debates about what to do next. Or, as Adam was asking earlier on, have they given up?
Well, let's start with Labour, shall we? As you say, Keir Starmer has just tweeted, actually, in the last couple of minutes, that it shows that people want change and they have put their faith in the Labour Party. And let's face it, they couldn't have really asked for a better end to what has been a terrible week for them. And what they're kind of saying is that if they can have these sorts of results at the end of a week like this, well, what could they possibly be capable of at the election? Of course, by-elections don't necessarily predict exactly what's going to happen at the election, but even if they get close to the kind of swings, the kind of majorities that they have seen here, it is going to be a very good result for them. The other thing it shows is what they can do in different seats of the country. These are very different areas, a very Brexit voting seat here, and it shows that they can perhaps win over different kinds of voters. So yes, undeniably a very, very good night for them. As for the Conservatives, well, it's the opposite, really. We've had their chair coming out in the last couple of minutes and calling the results disappointing. Perhaps a little bit of an understatement there, blaming it on low turnout, the very specific circumstances of the 2 departing MPs. But as you say, I'm sure this is going to lead to some soul-searching in the Conservative Party about whether or not they need to change tack before the general election, specifically because it seems as though voters are not just switching to the Labour Party, but also to the Reform Party, which particularly here in Wellingborough has seen a huge share of the vote. I think the Conservatives' message will be vote for reform, get Labour Party, but one of their biggest ambitions now will be to see if they can try to lure some of those voters back before the general election.
Louise, just on that with reform, that is the other story, isn't it? The Reform Party, there'll be people at home who've been voting in these constituencies and they've gone out and they've chosen to vote for reform. And as you say, the Tories will think, well, actually, that is a place we can target. At least we know where those voters are. But what will they do? Because the Reform Party, probably just a more to the right version of the Conservative Party, you would argue that the Conservatives... Oh, I've just been told in my ears, actually, Louise, you don't need to answer that question, because actually we are now joined. I'm told, are we joined or not? Yes, we are. We are. OK, we've been having a few technical issues this morning, but finally
he's off, but it looks like he's here.
Pat McFadden joins us. Pat McFadden from the Labour Party. How are you feeling this morning?
We're feeling great. These are fantastic results in Kingswood, where I'm speaking to you from. We've overturned a Tory majority of 11,000, and in Wellingborough an even bigger majority of 18,500. So these are fantastic results for Labour. We've got 2 new excellent Labour MPs. This is a real mark of the progress we've made in recent years. But of course, we also know the real test is yet to come later this year.
But a lot of people will say that this has just been a very low turnout. These are just by-elections, 38% turnout. It's not really a reflection of what will happen in a general election. And basically what's happened is Labour supporters have come out, but the Conservative voters have just stayed at home.
Well, I was spent yesterday on the doorsteps of Kingswood. In fact, my coat's still a bit damp from the heavy rain we had yesterday, which I think probably did have a little impact on turnout. But we were getting voters who had previously voted Conservative coming over to us, and that's a really important sign because it means we are broadening the base of support for the Labour Party. We're winning trust from voters who didn't feel they could vote for us in recent years. It's a really good sign of the momentum and the progress that we've made under Keir Starmer's leadership. This is a changed Labour Party from the one that lost the last election and to recession yesterday. And there's now no purpose in the Prime Minister sitting in number 10 just waiting for something to turn up. We hope that he gets on and has the courage to call the general election, the real test, the real decision, as soon as possible.
Now, the other story of the night was the Reform Party's success. 10% share of the vote in Kingswood, where you are, 13% of the vote in Wellingborough, and the presumption is that a significant amount of Conservative voters placed their vote with Reform, which divided that side of the vote and supported Labour's success there. And this success must come at a great point for the party, because it's not been a great week, not been a great fortnight. You yourself were sent out to defend Azhar Ali, candidate who, you know, made some serious comments and led to accusations of anti-Semitism. You had to defend that and then change the position when more things came to light. That doesn't feel like a particularly strong, clear, changed Labour Party to some.
Oh, look, we acted very quickly. You're right. When he first made comments last weekend, it came to light, I think, Saturday night. We accepted the full apology and the retraction he'd made, but then more came out. He'd said more things that we hadn't been told about in a meeting some months ago. And Keir Starmer acted really quickly and decisively. I've been in politics a long time. It's quite a big thing to do for a political party to withdraw support from a candidate in a by-election after nominations have closed, which means the candidate can't be replaced. I certainly, in my decades rather than years, can't remember that happening. And I would draw a contrast between the speed and the decisiveness of that action compared to all these long, drawn-out Tory scandals over MPs like Peter Bowen and Owen Paterson and Priti Patel, which took months and months to sort out. So I think they've acted quickly and decisively there, which shows just how much the Labour Party has changed in recent years.
OK, Pat McFadden, we're going to have to leave it there, but thanks for joining us this morning, the Labour National Campaign Coordinator.
Thank you. Pleasure to join you.
And thank you to Louisa earlier. And Louisa, apologies for cutting you off.
Apologies for those technical difficulties. Hope you got to hear what Pat McFadden had to say.